Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about, just kind of take a break away from the politics and everything. You know, everything's been kind of a whirlwind, over the last few weeks. So, I wanted to talk about a subject that is just so important to humanity. And it's something that doesn't get talked about enough because it's such a great mystery. And it's because in our collective consciousness, humanity is missing so much of our history. And this is, I think, why humanity's kind of psychotic. Because we don't know where we came from. We don't know the distant past. We don't know creation. We don't know, the exact proof about God. We all have our own interpretations of God. And, some of that's based off of religion and, personal beliefs and experiences and stuff. But the best we have to work on is, based off of people that have NDEs, OBEs, religious texts, spiritual, beliefs or experiences. So that's basically where everybody forms their opinion. So we're like a species with amnesia. And according to people that have NDEs, they say this is on purpose because to come play the game, that's part of the rules of the game. Like you are purposely, you go under this type of spiritual amnesia that cuts off your higher self from the fractal of you that inhabits the human body. And that higher self is directly connected into you could call it let's just call it the Akashic records, just to simplify things, but essentially the knowledge of the universe. And you have direct access to that when you're out of the human body. But when you're in the human body, you're cut off from all that. And I think it's so that it doesn't ruin your experience here. Look, if you incarnated, folks, with all the knowledge of the universe, then you're not going to learn anything in this realm, and you're not going to have fun playing the game because you already know all the rules, you know everything about it, and you know the construct, you know why, the how, and so there's no discovery. I know this is kind of crazy, but I had a little back and forth on Messenger between one of my favorite followers, somebody that's massively supported this page and this channel. And anyways, we were kind of talking about this subject, and and I said I honestly think that this whole construct was built because spirits get bored. Look, on the other side, folks, outside of this construct, we have pure manifestation powers. Anything you want, you can have. And I mean, you need for nothing. No food, you don't need, you don't even really need for love, because you're in a realm of infinite love, and the veil's gone between you and the source, the creator, and there's just love emanates off everybody and everything, because that's the higher vibration there. So it's almost like this realm was created as a diversion so that spirits have something to go experience. Something different. The realm of duality, where you do feel heartache and pain and sorrow, but great joy and love also. But you also forget that you're literally a God. Now, folks, I'm not saying you are God, capital G. You are a fractal of God, little g God. But you're immortal. And so maybe games are created to go experience things, to you know, so you're not bored. I know that sounds so cliche, but I swear it's just all the NDEs that I've listened to, it seems like that is what's going on here. Like, this is like the simulation, the game, the video game. You go to get lost here, to forget you're a god. You forget your powers. I told you guys, Inanna's descent into the underworld. The Sumerians, it's like they knew all this stuff, and they encoded these sacred knowledges into stories, symbolism, allegories. But anyways, guys, so cataclysms, the ancient past, earth cycles. We know that there are earth cycles. It's spoken about by all the major religions, even in the Bible. You know, it talks about an upcoming golden age. You got the Yuga cycles. You've got all of the ancient cultures, folks. The reason why they built all of these megalithic structures that were lined up with the stars, and with the certain solstices and the sun and moon cycles, and all of these, they encoded all of this because they were trying to build like a time clock, right? Like, it was almost a way of building an ancient computer that you could calculate the movement of the stars and planets, of the moon and sun. Part of it was so that you knew when to plant. It helped you, plan for the seasonal changes. I mean, a lot of your religious beliefs, folks, are just encoded astrotheology. Now, I have said this many times, so don't jump my case, that Yeshua was a real person who walked the earth. However, the 3-day resurrection, even the 3-day resurrection of Inanna in Inanna's descent, then of Yeshua's resurrection, was all based on the spring equinox. There's 3 days where the sun doesn't move in the sky. It doesn't go lower or higher in the sky. It's even for 3 days. And then it starts to rise again. And that's when spring starts officially. Spring equinox. And it's funny to note that I've caught so much fire for this. So much. But Inanna and Yeshua are tied together. Their stories are almost identical. Okay? She was in the underworld for 3 days, dead, hung on a wooden cross. And then she was saved, resurrected back to the surface, back to life by the god Enki. He brought her back to life. But it was an allegory of the spring equinox, part of it. Now, it was, like I said, it was also an allegory of the soul's journey to earth, into the human body. But it's so many things. I mean, it's such an overlooked cuneiform. It's amazing. But anyways, Yeshua was dead for 3 days and he was resurrected. And it just so happens resurrection lines up with spring equinox. Just so happens that Easter, Ishtar was the Babylonian name for Inanna, coincides with spring equinox also. In fact, the bunnies, the Easter bunny, the eggs, the dipped eggs comes from the worship of Inanna. Women would cover the eggs in their menstrual blood and leave it at her altars on the spring equinox. It was for good luck, for spring, to have babies, right? Just like bunnies. Rabbits were seen as highly fertile. They could pop out tons of bunnies, quick like a rabbit. Why do you think these churches all do Easter egg services? Sorry, Easter services, Ishtar services. Anyways, folks, I didn't want this to be about this. My gosh, squirrel, I'm getting so sidetracked, folks. Oh, I'm sorry I do this. Look, I go where my mind goes, and a lot of this stuff all connects. But anyways, back to the cataclysm stuff, back to the timekeeping stuff. As you guys know, if you don't know, you need to research this. What they are uncovering at Göbekli Tepe right now, and Göbekli is not even the oldest site. Karahan Tepe is even older. And just wait till they start digging into the megalithic structures under the water and around Lake Van. It's really going to get wild. But they keep pushing humanity's timeline back with Göbekli Tepe and with Karahan. Now it's as much as 13,000 years old. It's insane. When they claim we were just hunter-gatherers. No civilization. And it's interesting to note that these sites were purposely buried with sand that was not even from that area. I mean, how the hell do you do that? Göbekli Tepe is so massive, folks, that they've only uncovered less than 10% of it. And they're not even planning on uncovering it all because they don't have the manpower or the resources to do it. It's unbelievable, folks. And what they're finding is that Göbekli Tepe was like a massive, timekeeping, it's like a time clock. It was a astrological clock. It was mapping the stars, mapping the sky, mapping, like I said, seasons and changes in the sky. They were trying to tell us something, folks. It's a warning, okay? They were trying to tell us, I believe, and this is according to people that are digging into this research heavy, that it was some kind of future or warning for the future humanity, that there are regular cyclical cataclysms that hit the earth. Whether that's some kind of pole shift, or for you that are flat earthers, you could call it plate displacement, right? Or maybe meteor showers, or something that hits the earth. And we know this has happened in the past. And there has been always the whisper, folks, of past destroyed civilizations, such as Lemuria, Mu, as it's called sometimes, which was in the Pacific. And then you had, of course, the famous Atlantis. Well, folks, Atlantis was not just in one part of the earth. It was a worldwide civilization, folks. We think we are at the pinnacle of human civilization, folks. And the reason why you believe that is because you've been lied to. See, folks, these megalithic structures around the earth are much older than you've been told. They were from the previous world civilization. And most of the evidence has been buried or sunken or destroyed. Only these structures that were so massive and so heavy that mankind couldn't come in later and tear them down, they were too big for nature to tear down, are all that's left. And the Mayans even talked about these earth cycles. See, folks, they all knew. When that cataclysm happened, the survivors, when they were rebuilding civilization, they tried to build these megalithic structures in a way that in the future they could be uncoded. I think I said that right. That people could figure out what they meant, what they were trying to tell us. Because they probably figured out that eventually humanity would relearn the sciences, mathematics, astrology, astronomy, if you want to call it. And that eventually we would be able to break the coding in these megalithic structures. They were leaving us warnings, folks. I'm not trying to scare anybody here, okay? I just want you to understand that. Look, Folks, it's the game, right? You're an immortal spirit. You only spend a short time here on Earth. It seems like a long time, but it's a blink of an eye on the other side. Because time doesn't run how you think it runs. Time is an illusion built for this construct. Immortal spirits are not bound by time. Time is what binds this realm, the human body and such. But it seems as if humanity has been reset many times. And we find very curious things like the Sumerian Kings list, where it talks about an ancient past where rulers lived for 30,000 years plus. Kings. You can read about the pre-pharaonic gods that ruled Egypt, like Thoth and Ra, for tens of thousands of years. You can read about how the Incans even admit that they didn't build Machu Picchu and some of these sites. They said that the gods built them. They inherited them. And you can tell the work that the Incans did on these structures. The blocks are much smaller, cruder, and not set together as well. In fact, folks, there's some crazy sites in South America that gets tied to the Incans or the Tehuacans that's much older. And there's weird things, like there's this huge, massive, amazingly built staircase that weighs hundreds of tons. And it's flipped upside down, folks. Why is that? What would be so powerful to cause that destruction? Well, we know about the flood story, right? Was it this worldwide flood that buried Göbekli Tepe in all this sand? Karahan Tepe? We know that this flood was spoken about in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Atrahasis, the Enuma Elish, and eventually those stories were jotted down in the Bible. Yes, folks, the Bible's not the original source. I know this is a revelation that most theologians or Bible thumpers don't want to admit, but your source is not the original source. It's a Reader's Digest copy of the original cuneiform stories. Okay? Now we'll just leave it at that. That just ruffles so many feathers. Like literally people think like there was a scribe following, around the prophets, writing down stuff as they said it. The Bible was written down real time. They weren't even writing down the New Testament when they were, the disciples that were following Yeshua around. All that was written, most of the New Testament was written over 100 years after his death. So it's time to wake up, folks. Stop playing games. We need to get down to the real nitty-gritty of what happened in the past. Stop just falling for every man-made delusion and story and power play. Because that's all organized religion is. It's just another way to control humanity, like government, like monetary policy, banking. The 3 pillars of control. But if you follow Graham Hancock and some of these other guys that have been digging into like the Younger Dryas and all these other, cataclysms and evidence of cataclysms, and then you start looking at Atlantis, Lemuria, Göbekli Tepe, you look at the Sumerian Kings list, you look at, the Egyptian pre-pharaonic history, and then you can take the indigenous peoples, their talks about the gods and about cataclysms and cycles, the Mayan calendar. I could go on and on and on, folks. The point I'm trying to get at here is that the earth goes through cycles of cataclysms. And it seems to be as if it's on, maybe not an exact timeline, but on a pretty regular timeline. And that humanity has been reset many times. And that maybe this is how they reset the game. Think about it, folks. We play through a cycle, a season, a chapter of the game, Earth, video game, simulation Earth. And then when that cycle comes to an end, the game gets reset. And new animals, new climates, new lands are updated on the Earth. It's reset. The game board is reset. And we've seen this happen. Like ice ages have changed what animals walk the Earth. Meteorites, that have hit the Earth have changed this. It's come through many different ways. The flood changed this. Where did the giants go? The red-headed giants. We know that there's stories about them all around the Earth. And everybody laughs at me about the giant thing. Like, look, folks, I ain't talking about some 30, 40-foot giants. I'm talking about a race of beings that were on average 8 to maybe the tops 12 feet tall. Not 30, 40. I mean, there's people saying that mountains are dead giants. And I mean, my God. I mean, I'm not saying that stuff, folks. Okay? I'm trying to keep it within a reasonable, level here, okay? But people laugh about that. But yet, you laughing at all the indigenous tribes around the world that have oral histories that speak about their ancestors fighting off and killing these red-headed giants that were cannibals? You could find it in every single North American history. The Cherokee, the Utes. I mean, all of them. They all talk about these giants, these people. Think of Lovelock Cave in Nevada. And we know that they're hiding this history from us, folks. Just like the mainstream archaeologists working on Göbekli Tepe, they are doing an excellent job at uncovering these ruins, putting them back together. But you know damn well their whole story narrative is going to come down to sweeping this under the rug. They're not going to tell you what these sites are coding, what they're for. In reality, that they're warning us that a cataclysm will come again. They know this, but they're not going to tell you. They don't want you to know this. Governments don't want you to know this. Folks, governments have been under black money, black funding. That's where your $20,000 toilets and all that goes. That's where all that goes to. They really buy a regular toilet, and the rest of that goes into a slush fund that goes into black budgets. And a lot of people think those black budgets are about high-tech stuff and maybe even, colonizing, space and different things like that, like space programs. And some of it is for that. But a lot of it is for building underground facilities. They have these huge tunneling machines. They're insane, folks. If you haven't seen any of these machines operate, you should look it up. I mean, it's crazy. As they bore through the earth, they make these perfectly round tunnels, and then behind them, they lay in concrete slabs, and then they get glued together with a special mixture, and then they're running like power lines and everything, and oxygen lines as they go. These things, it's insane, man. And I mean, folks, I have a friend that's a trucker, and he's even told me about going into, I think it's in Missouri, going into one of these massive underground facilities where literally they have highways underground. And, they use a lot of that for storage. Companies rent spaces in these places. But there's also military uses, and there's also a lot of these are designed for cataclysms. For so many people to be able to live sustainably underground. Folks, they've been preparing for something for a long time. And I'm not saying something's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just saying, damn well they're not going to tell us. They're not. Just like Atlantis, according to the Emerald Tablets. It was just the royalty, the royal Atlanteans. It was probably some of the top generals and scientists They were the ones that escaped the destruction of Atlantis because they actually had flying ships, folks. I know it sounds crazy, but read the Emerald Tablets. That it even talks about how Thoth escaped Atlantis' destruction in a flying ship. Now, I didn't say it's a spaceship. It could have been an airship. It could have been, we don't know what kind of ship it was, but it was some kind of flying device. But it would have been the government people, would have been the royals, it would have been the, scientists, military. Those are the ones that would have got saved, folks. All the basic people would have got left for dead. And this would happen. Even remember the movie 2012? That was exactly what was happening. Unless you could buy your way onto one of those ships or you were a politician or whatever, you didn't get a seat. Everybody else died. They were telling you the truth in that movie, folks. That is exactly how it would go down. What if who we call the Anunnaki, the Anuna, the Elohim, the Shining Ones, were nothing but the survivors of Atlantis, the royal bloodline, the Anuna? Think about it. The princely seed. Anu and his sons, daughters, granddaughters, grandsons. He was the Most High, El Elyon. All you that say Yahweh's El Elyon, you're mistaken. Go read it again. The Most High, El Elyon, is Anu. Anu's the Most High in the Anuna, the Anunnaki pantheon. Now, was he like some spiritual god creature? Or was he a humanoid? That was just happened to be the ruler of Atlantis. And what happened is that these guys, the survivors of Atlantis, still had technology and some know-how. So they went around the earth and they tried to find survivors and rebuild civilization. And they taught them how to build the pyramids, which were really power devices. They were teaching them, trying to teach humanity, the sciences, the math and all that again. Engineering, animal husbandry. If you read the cuneiform stories about the gods introducing all of these, how the keys to building civilization, that's what it's always spoken about. And if you read the book of Enoch, that's what it talked about, right? The Watchers. What did they do? They were teaching humanity all of these keys to civilization. How to grow crops, how to hybridize crops, how to build canals, how to use irrigation. All these advanced things you need to build a civilization. And our archaeologists even say they don't understand how Sumer, we went from hunter-gatherer to just boom. All of a sudden we had Sumer and we had all these Mesopotamian, and now we're starting to figure out Göbekli Tepe and all that's even older than Sumer. So they actually migrated south from Turkey and Armenia down into Mesopotamia. But how, folks? Wouldn't it make sense that these Atlanteans went around and tried to rebuild civilization all around the earth? And that's why you got pyramids popping up everywhere all around the earth. And isn't it interesting that these pyramids are built on ley lines, on the energetic grid of this realm, of this earth? You could call it it's almost like a grid of the Matrix. Just interesting stuff, folks. I'm at work, so I got to finish up here, wrap up. But I don't know. I know I didn't give you guys any answers. Look, I don't have the answers either. I'm trying to figure out this stuff as much as many of you are. But we are a species in amnesia. We have forgotten all of our old history, our prehistory. We have forgotten about all of the ancient civilizations that have walked the earth here, folks. And many of them may have been even more advanced than we are now. Folks, look. Think about if a cataclysm happened here. A nuclear war. EMP strikes. Meteor strikes. That hit the ocean. A pole shift. Uh-oh. Globe, oh no. Plate displacement theory, okay? There you go for the flat earthers. We can all agree on something, right? What if something like this happened, and imagine how fast our civilization would crumble. And then 200 years from now, folks, almost all of our metals and plastics, well, maybe not the plastics, the metals and stuff, though, would have crumbled away. Our concrete's not even as good as the concrete that they did in in Rome. Unless it's like maybe like megalithic structures like the Hoover Dam. But a lot of our stuff would disappear. And then later on, civilization of humans that got knocked back into the Stone Age and started rebuilding again, they would see Mount Rushmore, right? It'd be like the pyramids, like, wow, like the Sphinx. Holy smokes, the gods must have put their faces on the mountains, right? Oh, the gods blocked this river with this huge, dam, whatever they would call it then. And they'd be trying to figure out these technologies and figure out what happened. And they would be in amnesia again, once again. And we would have lost all the sciences that we have now. All the smartphones would be gone. All the computers would be gone. But a future generation would eventually build up to the point where they have archaeologists again. They'd start digging through the past, and they'd be looking at our generations, wondering, wow, what did these people do? The funny thing is they wouldn't even know a lot about what we had because there'd be no traces anymore of it. So it makes you wonder how many times we've been through these resets. And is it a way that they update the game, that they change the parameters of the game, that they re-terraform the earth, so that each earth cycle, human cycle, has a new experience? I know it sounds radical, folks. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of it, okay? It's very interesting stuff. Anyways, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are we in a cycle? Or do you think that our governments are planning for something they're not telling us about? They're definitely terraforming our skies. We know that. And let's just say they're terraforming human bodies. Now, what is the plan for all this? Have you heard about the underground tunnels? Have you seen the tunnel boring machines? Do you know that a lot of your governments around the world have like completely built underground cities? Why? And one thing I forgot to mention, folks, this is interesting because it ties into Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe and Lake Van and all that. There's a underground city in Turkey that dates back to that time period, and they said, I think that up to 20,000 people lived in this underground city. Why? Right? Why? Interesting stuff, folks. Think of the Bible. It even says, right, when the furious wrath of the Lord returns, wormwood, that people would be hiding in the caves, right? Interesting stuff, folks. How many times has humanity been reset? Right now, we've got, 8, almost 9 billion people on the earth right now. You know how fast a major worldwide cataclysm would wipe out 99% of that population? And only enough would survive in bunkers and other areas, that just enough to restart after the ashes have settled, for humanity to start rebuilding. And imagine all of that wisdom being lost. Now, it seems as if our scientists are preparing for this. We have the Doomsday Vault, right? We've been burying a lot of this information to try to retain a lot of this technology and stuff. And another interesting question, folks, if that was the Atlanteans that were these Anunnaki, these Anuna, that were going around rebuilding civilization, where did they go? Now, is there still a remnant of them here on Earth? And would they try to protect their bloodline? Because they are still from the original Atlantean bloodline. Think about that. You've heard of the Blue Bloods before, right? of the royals that claim to be rulers of earth because of their decrees from God, right? That they're, I mean, we all know about this. They have a different type of blood. It's copper based, not iron based. That's why they call them the blue bloods. And they're very strict about not marrying outside of their bloodlines, right? All these royals are, for those of you that don't know, most of your royals are inbreds. Okay? It's the truth. For all those of you that are like, oh, Prince William, I'm so in love with him. Yeah, he's got inbred blood in him, folks. I'm just telling you the truth. He's an inbred. All these people are. You know, that's put themselves up as our rulers. But anyways, folks, interesting stuff, right? I mean, when you start, the more you go down this rabbit hole, the more it expands your mind, and the more sometimes it's even harder to even understand than where you started, because you start connecting all these dots, and you can clearly see there's been resets on the earth, that humans have changed even through these resets. Animals have changed through these resets. Plants, the earth, it's all changed from these resets. But like a good video game, right? When you go on to the next chapter or level, you don't want to just keep playing the same map over and over, right? You want a new map to play on, right? You want new characters, new creatures, new weapons, new gear, new everything, right? That's the point of video games, right? Well, I know I'm simplifying our experience here. I'm not trying to trivialize it like that's all this is just a game we're playing. But in a way, that's kind of what it is. It's like a game we're playing. I mean, people that have NDEs, they even say, it's like when you're on the other side, it's like not this earth-shattering thing about Earth. Like, you know, over on that side, they view Earth, and what goes on here is it's an experience. That's it. You know? You're experiencing something. And they call it the hero's journey when you come here, because it's hard on a spirit to swim in a realm of duality when you come from a realm of pure love and light and high vibration. So it's an interesting thing, folks. But it's like looked at as just like you were on a short trip. You know, you had an experience, and you came back, and they're excited to see you. You went on the hero's journey. They welcome you back. Like, there's always a welcoming party, folks. Whether it's your spirit guides or your family members or Yeshua or Buddha or whoever, you know, Krishna meets you and walks you back home through the so-called pearly gates into the actual realm. Once you go through the void and you get back to the realm we come from. And they say it's like a city, folks. It's like there's really buildings, there's cathedrals, there's libraries, there's houses, see, folks, everything being built here on earth is a reflection of what is where we come from. Okay? Anyways, gosh, man, I'm so bad, folks. I went down so many rabbit holes today. I hope I didn't make your mind spin. I probably did. I mean, we touched on a lot of different things, but anyways, I just like conversating, folks, and I hope you guys at least enjoy the subjects I talk about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. But anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. If you are interested in doing a one-on-one Zoom with me, your donation for my time, that would be fantastic. I would love to meet you, network with you, and get to know you, and we can talk about whatever subject you want. So you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you later.